Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Monday Night Ham Nuggets, your favorite ham radio club meeting. We tried this a couple of weeks ago with the portapack and the HackRF1 device, and we found out that the HackRF1 works fine, and the portapack we couldn't get the screen to work. So we're going to try to dig in a little bit deeper tonight. And I say try because we know nothing about what we're doing. We're not playing the expert card here. We're all working together. You guys in the chat at home and Jim and I on stream here are going to try and figure out what to do with this. And one of the best things you can do with troubleshooting is have a working example. So my friend and yours, Jim Anderson, sent a working portapack in. So we're going to plug it in and see what's different about it, and see if we learn something. I'm going to try and swap the portapack display off of this onto the HackRF1 from Aiden, and we'll see if that does anything. Jim, how are you doing?
Doing well, sir. Doing
Excellent.
well. I had a scary moment yesterday. As many of y'all know, I have a new radio, and it's very precious. I haven't named it yet. I'm looking for the right name. I'm thinking about calling it the signal, because you can't stop the signal. You can't stop the signal. That's what I'm
well, apparently you can. Right. Foreshadowing.
Well, so all of a sudden it just goes off, and I'm like, what the hell?
Pucker.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, pucker. Because software screwed up SD card, whatever. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. And as it turns out, my power supply has some sort of issue where it just randomly shuts itself off. Hell, I wasn't even transmitting when it did it. I was looking at something else. And it just... And I power cycled the switch, and it comes back on, and everything's working again. And I'm like, I don't know, that was weird. Made sure all the cables were seated.
God,
did it again. The good news
I
is
had that happen to me.
It's the damn power supply.
I had that happen to me, and it was with Todd's amp that he loaned me at Hamcation in Orlando. And that was the amp that failed. It failed open. Liberty's asking, what is a portapack? Liberty, this right here is a portapack. It is a portable RF hacking wizardry device, and that's as much as I know about it. It is a shield, a hat, a lid, a whatever that goes on top of the HackRF1 device and lets you interface with it directly instead of having to carry around a computer with you while you do it. And
so I had to order a new power supply yesterday. The bad news is I had to order a new power supply. The good news is I ordered a new power supply.
Right.
I got a linear.
Because you don't buy the exact same power supply. You get something better.
No, I do not. And I want you to know a certain gentleman whose call sign is ambiguous and whose whereabouts are ambiguous. I'll sell you my old MFJ for $150. I'm like, no thanks, Chief. I'm going to go buy a new one this time. I bought a new one the first time, but I'm not buying the same brand.
Aaron is correct. This is an OG Flipper Zero with an SDR built in. So I need this. This should have. Does this have the battery in it? I don't remember how to turn it on.
Press and hold or long press, I would guess, right?
Yeah, there's just a lot of buttons.
I love buttons.
And the battery could be totally dead. That's also a possibility. So I need a cord.
I don't know
if this cord is just data, or if it's data and power, or if it's just power. So we'll find that out together as well. So I'm going to plug this in. I'm using a Raspberry Pi 4, which is currently off screen. And we'll see if that serial port provides enough power to... Oh, yep, it does. Oh, there it is. So this one works, clearly.
Sweet. And that has Mayhem on it.
Yes. So it says HackRF portapack Mayhem. And then with the case on, it's got the blinking blue LED light, and that's an indicator of the battery charge status. So it is at 0.25%. Now I don't know what to do with this besides that. It's got blinking lights on top. That's nice. Oh, there we go. I pushed a button. Let me make myself bigger so y'all can see. And the reflection's great on the screen. There we go. So I pushed a button. We've got receive, transmit, capture, replay. So you can do replay attacks with this. So it will transmit. And I can't see all the buttons there. So we have scanner, microphone, looking glass, utility settings, debug. So this works. And let's go over to the Raspberry Pi. And let's see if it showed up as a device when I plugged it in. Sudo dmessage. And dmessage will print the last few kernel messages. Well, actually, it'll print all the kernel messages.
Right.
And I see Bluetooth stuff. I don't see anything looking like this thing got recognized. Let's do dmessage-w to have it wait while new messages come in, and I'm going to unplug it.
Jason said, no, you have to enable the HackRF mode.
Okay. So I unplugged it and nothing happened. I'm going to plug it back in, and we'll see if something happens. Nothing happened when I plugged it back in. So I'm going to try pushing some random buttons to see if I can get into it. Enable DC voltage on the antenna connector. No.
Are these things still for sale? I think I've seen them online still, right? The HackRFs?
Yeah, I think this one came off of like AliExpress or something, or Aiden's did.
Okay. Jason said that thing decodes APRS, AIS, ADSB, and others. And Hawk said I had a gas station power supply.
You probably did. So it's saying this mode enables HackRF functionality. To return, press the reset button. Switch to HackRF mode. Yes. And the screen changed.
Jason said there's a code for it. Down 5, over 1, and enter twice.
Yeah, I think I got into it. Because it's got this little pseudo block diagram on the screen. I need to get a second screen. I think it froze up. Because no button is doing nothing. Like that fancy grammar.
I like that. That's like a quadruple negative or something.
And no button is doing nothing. So there's what happened after I pressed the HackRF. And so let's push some buttons together. Let's do up, down, left, right, center, VFO, spin, and I forget what these two up here are. One of them is reset. And I think the other one is like programming mode or something. It's not as challenging to navigate the menus. Now that we can see them, you'd think that would be true, but yeah. So it's reset and ISP are the that doesn't focus. Reset and ISP are the buttons on top.
So it comes with a case, or is that extra?
This one came as a complete kit, ready to roll, done. So now
Okay.
I'm pressing and holding reset, and nothing is happening.
I'm not seeing the reset.
Yeah.
Is he dead?
And
no, he's only mostly dead.
I unplugged the USB cable while I was holding the reset button, so I don't know which one of them did which. But now there's enough battery power that it didn't immediately shut off.
Jason's
So
saying once it's in pass-through, you have to reset it to make it interactive again.
Yeah, so I think what's happening is my cable is only power, not data, which is what I suspected. So I will yank that cable, which did perform a reset. So now we know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I will put this cable away.
While you're doing that, can I make a couple of announcements to help keep the lights on?
Go right ahead.
Is this an opportune time?
This is a great time. It's always a good time to keep the lights on.
Okay. Some of this you guys already know. Some of it you don't. We have new tumblers. They are in hand here at the East Pensacola warehouse. I'm waiting on shipping containers for them because I don't have those yet. And, oh, damn it, the wrong way again. I always change that.
Yeah, you're backwards.
Right. Well, I'm right to me. This finger is pointing that way.
Your logo is backwards.
Yeah. It's always something. Anyway. How about them Braves? So we have, yes, Liberty, we have OD green tumblers in hand. And as soon as I get boxes in, they will be put up on the website, and I will drop a message in Toads and let everybody know. So those are there. We also have partially completed AIOC boards, what we call the DIY version, available at a discount. Those are $12 a piece. If you want to buy in bulk, drop me an email at coffeeandhamradios@gmail.com, and we will give you a bulk discount. I will tell you straight up, there are no refunds. So make sure you know what you're doing before I get them shipped to you, because
it's a teeny tiny little package.
You see the size of his package he just held up? Yeah, it's about 1/4 the size of that. It's about 1 square millimeter. It requires a microscope to see. You're not going to do this with your dad's soldering iron that has a screwdriver-sized tip on it. It ain't going to happen. And it's I don't think, I can't remember the right term. It's got leads that are flush on the side and go around underneath the chip. And if it was on 4 sides, it's a QFN. So maybe it's a DFN, dual flat, no lead.
Yeah, and then it's got a ground plane underneath of it as well.
Right.
So you have to solder underneath in, what is it, 4 on each side for 8, plus the one in the middle for 9?
Something like that, yeah. I believe that's correct.
So you need a heat gun and a microscope and a pair of tweezers and patience and a steady hand, and this is why Jim hasn't built any of them. He's got everything except for patience.
I built 2. I got 2 working. I decided to work on 4, made 2 work, broke 2. So at a 50% failure rate. So no, don't ask. We're not going to put them together for you, but that's why we're also selling them at a steep discount. And if you know somebody who's
and what
got
is that
skills,
discount, by the way?
$12 shipped.
$12. You can't go wrong for $12. Just get it and mount it on the wall as art for $12.
It could be. It could be. Now for $12, you're not getting you're not getting the K1 connectors. You're not getting the 3D printed soldering guide. You're getting the board and a chip taped on the back in an anti-static bag, and our blessings. And we will pray for your soul. We have antennas in stock right now on Coffee and Ham Radios. Chuck has restocked the store. There are Aries, Mercury, and Apollos on the store right now. LC, you didn't, Iowa Hank, you did not get, I got you guys confused, sorry. Hank, you did not get yours on the first try. You were asking me like 1,000 questions. I thought you'd already bollocksed it up. Then you got it, or you just never got to it?
He debollocksed it.
He debollocksed it. I remember he was having trouble finding that he couldn't see the writing on the chip to get the orientation right.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Yeah. Okay, so what about tumblers? Thump, we got tumblers. You're late. We got 30-ounce OD green tumblers. They're green and not blue this time. We're just waiting on boxes from the logistics department. That's me.
Right.
So as soon as they come in, they'll get on the store. So I am plugging this in with a new cable. This is my 705 data cable. You can tell because it's from the gas station and has the toroid on it. Are the tumblers a kit too? Yes, you must put a beverage in it. So I have to hold it with my pinky because that's a lot of weight on the connector.
And Lon, whatever you got that you can see something that's less than 2 millimeters square.
So. Oh, there it is. It works. So you can see that it popped in. New high-speed USB device number 3 using XHCI HCD. New USB device found. Bunch of junk. Product, HackRF1, manufacturer, Great Scott Gadgets, and a long serial number. Don't be stealing the serial number, folks. I don't know. You can do anything with it anyway. All right, so that works, and we still have the same screen. So it was definitely the cable that was the issue. So we're all the way in, and I think what we need to do now is pull this display off and put it onto Aiden's KD9 VUK version of the HackRF1 and see if that was what the problem was. Liberty somehow lost his chip.
Some of us have an AIOC that do not have a chip. Oh, you're on your own on those. You got a refund. Get on Mouser.
Don, thank you very much.
Yeah, LC, I don't have extra chips here. The chips we have were to be married to the boards.
Okay, so what I have from Aiden is kind of more of a metallic DIY version. So his is in a nice metal case. So I'm going to pull that apart. And I'm going to pull that front cover plate off.
Phil, you pronounced it wrong. It's Jean. It's Jean.
And then there's the battery that's in there. I'm going to take that out and get rid of that. And the supposedly bad display, which leaves us with Aiden's board. And I think these are different colors, which might work out well. Oh, that was loud. And I do not have my toolbox here, so I'm using my Leatherman again to take this thing apart. Does this thing have a power off choice?
So while T.O. is doing that, what kind of power supplies are you guys running with your rigs? Brands and amperages.
Battery power.
Ken, T.O. is broadcasting from a secure, undisclosed location in his yard.
Yes, it's raining here, Ron.
Astron 35 amp.
Yep. Astrons are good.
That's what I bought. I got a 50. I got a 50 linear. Because Ape Power Supply shamed me from the cheap one I was going to buy off of Amazon.
He's like that. No matter what you get, he's going to shame you about it. So,
right?
Don't worry too much.
Astron seems to be. Ed has an MFJ. Ed, the one that smoked was the 4245. I think it's sitting down here on the floor. It turns on and it works for some amount of time and then just shuts itself off until you power cycle it. Yeah, there was a PowerTech on Amazon, 50 amp switching for about $170. I think it was PowerTech. That seems right. And almost got that. But then I thought, no, I'm going to buy a new power supply, and now I know the difference between switching and linear. I'm not going to buy another cheap switching power supply. So, Ed, this one is like September of 2019 is when I got it. October, somewhere around there. So not quite 4 years old. I'm going to take it apart. I just replaced the fans on it with Noctua fans like just about 2 months ago, because the fans on it sounded like a B-52 spooling up. And it's been great since then until yesterday, and then it decided it. I'm hoping that the power supply could be a cold solder joint or a loose connection. I mean, I have been in it, so.
Once you get the new one, I'm all blurry. Once you get the new one, then you have to take the old one apart. Well, I guess the old one doesn't work, does it?
I'm not going to, no, it ain't going on no radios. I have a couple of throwdowns here that work for now.
Yeah, so I was saying, take it apart and figure out what's wrong with it.
Yeah, Tim's saying it might be a bad cap. Tim, you're exactly right. I haven't even looked at it yet. But I plan to pop the case and at least salvage my Noctua fans out of it. I don't want to throw it away. I'm too much of a hoarder for that, but
that's true.
How would you know?
We've talked, Jim.
We've talked. I overshare.
A lot. Okay, this is coming apart rather trickily. There is a audio port down here on the bottom, and that is flush with the case, so I have to get the case snapped off of it.
Man, you're on Starlink, aren't you?
No, I switched over to cellular because Starlink is getting hammered right now. Anyway. There we go. Oh, I lost a button. Where did it
Ed,
go?
I think Astrons might be boat anchors because I've seen a whole ton of them for sale at Hamfests. I got my ticket in 1971, and this power supply has served me well since then, but I decided to get a new one because I won the lottery when my wife passed away or something.
Yeah, I mean, they're good power supplies. They just last forever, so you wind up dying with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Phil's saying don't drop it on your foot.
Hawk, I
Well,
don't
it's
think
a
there's anything
linear,
I can
so-
do about the rain.
I don't think you can filter that out with you're running through OBS or not?
No. No BS.
No BS, OBS. I think linears tend to be heavier too, don't they?
Yes. Well, there's physically more going on inside.
There's a big honking transformer in there, right? Samlex, that's the other one. Scott, thank you. I knew somebody. There was another brand I couldn't think of that I kind of was looking around for, but
I have to ask Joe Brett how to filter out the rain.
I think he just mutes his mic all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like Joe Brett talks a lot on their show anyway, right?
Did they let him?
I don't know that they even let him. And if you hear any explosions, it's my neighbors who apparently bought some big non-Class C fireworks over recently. I just heard the.
You still have all your fingers?
Shot. My neighbors, not me.
I was kind of asking the chat if everybody still had all their fingers.
Oh. After tomorrow is when we need to ask that question.
I don't know. We light fireworks here all summer long because we're in a free state.
Well, we are too. Hell, half the hillbillies just go outside and shoot their blasters off. Bullets cost too much for me to do that. Joe Brett is here. He said there's no filtering no rain unless you put a roof over your roof.
That I could do that, but not going to worry about it.
And now he's shaming me because I haven't seen their show in the last couple of weeks. Son, I've been on work calls during most of your show.
There is team replay. This
Like
this
I
is
said,
a
I've
very
been busy.
right. This is a very weird design where there are screws that go into standoffs on both sides of the case. So I have to screw in a screw in order to unscrew the other screw. Otherwise, the thing just spins internally. So it's taking a little bit longer than it should to unscrew this thing. Just sharing, not complaining.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do a video on me tearing open the power supply. Really, I don't know if it's anything anybody actually wants to see. I'm not sure that I know enough to troubleshoot it, other than looking for cold solders or loose things.
Well, so this is the magic of video editing, Jim. You get started on the project,
Right.
and if you can finish it, you publish a video. And if you can't finish it, I don't know what you're talking about. I never got a chance to look at that. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
All right, now I have the back half of the case off, and this one is a green board, and this one is a black board. That'll make it very easy to tell apart.
Don said he wants to see it if I get zapped.
Yeah. That'll go down in YouTube infamy.
Right.
Electro boom.
Tim, it's a switching. It's an MFJ 4245 MV, I think is the...
Oh, so there's only 5 parts in there anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the model. Let me look. Let me try not to fall out of the chair on camera. All right, here it is.
Does the owner know you're taking it apart? Yes.
Except my
He watched the
camera's
show.
backwards still.
He watched the show a couple of weeks ago. He knows what we're about. We are all
Does he
set.
know about your history with amplifiers? I mean, I'm just asking the question. I'm not making
That
any
one
judgments.
time, it's not like I broadcasted APRS on 5.2 for a whole weekend.
That one time, son, was one afternoon for a couple hours.
I have had a lot of amplifiers, and they have all worked very well. And then there's like two. One that I blew up when it wasn't even turned on. And then I fixed that one. And then Todd's, which was just crap to begin with. And then I fixed that one. Had to have some help on that, though. Yes, Don is correct. If you send it my way, it will be dissected.
You know, we
I
could
might
do that.
not-
We could do that for Nuggets episode.
What's
I
that,
can
your
send
power
you the
supply?
you could, other than it cost an arm and a leg to ship that heavy thing.
No, you do it. I'll just watch from the sidelines.
No.
You want to think about that for half a second?
Yeah.
Oh, and the standoffs are plastic, too. Good thing they spared no expense. I have one screw left. Done.
Tim, I'm probably going to take a look at it tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow, so as we all are, I'm sure, almost all of us.
Nope. Never off.
Well, I'm not in the fire department anymore, so I kind of am off.
This thing still doesn't want to come apart. It's still that same audio jack.
Ken wants to know if he sends his 737 to get an IF tap added for an SDR. You want to do that? What is a 737? Is that an ICOM?
But Jim, that's something that you do. I've never done that.
I didn't add it. It was already there. They already had a header connector. All I did was hook two wires to it.
Ken, it depends on the size of the radio. I'm working on limited space here. So we're going to run into two problems. One is that we can probably do it, but I need to do it like outside at the picnic table, which is going to be weather dependent, like heat and rain dependent. And then it means we have to carry the thing around in the back of my truck until we get there.
Yeah, it is an ICOM. Are you coming to Huntsville, Ken?
Oh, that's nice. The audio
could be
jack is
part
now
of-
in the process of breaking. It could be. Go ahead.
Part of 4 days in August.
How did they ever get this thing on in the first place?
Oh, Side Boom slid in the chat.
Side boom's here now, so it's going to get all fixed for sure. Oh, that's just weird. Lost another standoff. That's good.
Izzo. All right, I guess I gotta go watch Clubhouse tomorrow night because half of Clubhouse is watching your show right now.
Oh, that is weird. Not the Clubhouse thing. I watch Clubhouse all the time. I just don't really comment that much. So there is the ring that was giving me trouble.
It's not what he said in our chat. Just saying.
And that's just a cosmetic ring, so that looks like it'll go back on. Yep, that'll go back on just fine. What a pain. Okay, his portapack is the same black color. I'm currently working on pulling it off. It's got header pins that go in multiple directions, so you have to be gentle.
ATV and Ham KD9WNV said he will pay for a built all mode hotspot as he is not competent. Brother, get on Amazon, buy one. They're all the same. They use all the same parts. I don't know what they run now. I bought mine for about 110 several years ago. Now they're probably about 150. Arsinc, AURSINC, makes decent Chinese stuff. Sane Smart, I think, is another brand.
Mm-hmm.
All of those hotspots are all mode. There is no such thing as a non-all mode hotspot. The hotspot has two pieces of hardware. It has a Raspberry Pi 0 or 02W, and it has an MMDVM board. That's the hardware. And then the software is PiStar, which runs on the board. It's Linux. That's it. There's no special magic to it beyond that. They're all mode. So go buy one on Amazon. Before I even knew what they were, I bought one on Amazon.
Okay, so this is Jim's board, HackRF 1, 13 February 2014, and it is the green one. And then this is Aiden's board, HackRF1. And that's not going to focus. Sky 2021 is what it says. So, from the chat, what do you guys think? Should we put the working portapack screen on Aiden's from last episode that did not work onto the new board, or should we put the working screen onto the board that didn't work? How do we cross pollinate this? Can you say that in English, Jim, please?
Let's put the working screen on the sketch device.
All right, that's
because that may give
two.
us some clarity about what's actually going on.
And if you guys remember from last week, our assumption is that the screen did not work. So this would be proof right away that it is the screen from Aiden's unit.
And ATV and Ham, Don mentioned the open spot. I have an open spot. They're great. They're also $400. So I also have sitting right up here off camera where you can't see is a D-Star hotspot, a Fusion hotspot, and a DMR hotspot that are all low-end Amazon models that have been running nonstop for about 3 years.
So other Andy says maybe the thing killed the screen. That is a potential thing. But we only have one of each of these things, a working HackRF1 and a working screen, and a working HackRF1 and a non-working screen. So we have one working, one non-working. We got to just make the executive decision, man. We just got to do it. So
I really don't think the screen would blow up the HackRF, though.
Plug it in. White screen.
So that's the working screen on the sketchy HackRF.
Yes. Yeah, so there's something wrong with the HackRF. Well,
so can we put it in DFU mode or firmware reset or something like that? And
so that's what we did in the last episode. We went crazy working on firmware reset, and we found out that the HackRF does HackRF stuff, but the screen doesn't work on top of it. And now we have confirmed that. So now we need to check Aiden's screen on the good HackRF. So that's the good screen. This is the KD9VUK HackRF. This is the quote-unquote bad screen. And this is the new Hacker. This is like an ounce. This is very light. So now I'm marrying up old screen, new board. So many pins to line up. All right, old screen, new board. And let's plug it in. Oh!
So there's nothing wrong with the screen.
Yeah, so it's the HackRF1 that's bad.
Yeah.
Aiden, we know what the problem is.
That screen ain't going to blow up a board. It may not work, but it's not got anything in it that's going to make the board go insane. I just can't see that happening.
Well, no, I will disagree with you only because I have it in hand. The screen has a power header on it and a battery attached to it.
Keep it from booting, but it's not going to smoke the HackRF.
Well, it provides power to the HackRF is what I'm saying. So it could.
From the screen? From the screen?
From the screen. From the battery attached to the screen.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so now we know what the problem is with Aiden's. It was Aiden's HackRF1 that's missing some compatibility thing. So that problem has solved. 2 good screens, 1 questionable HackRF1, 1 good HackRF1. So Aiden, buy yourself a new HackRF1.
Okay, great show.
Thanks, everybody. Now I'm going to put it back together. But that's essentially what you have to do.
Start at layer 1, man. Always start at layer 1.
Exactly. And what is layer 1 for the non-networking people?
Physical layer.
Physical layer. Layer 0 would be the human interface layer. Start at layer 0, really.
Well, yeah, layer 8. That's a layer 8 issue.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the opposite end of the stack, the top of the stack, not the bottom of the
Right.
stack. Phil, that was too fast. You are right. I have to put it back together again. Is the broken one legit? Where'd the question go?
Or
It
is
just
it-
moved.
There it is. I got this, Randy.
Is the broken one a legit or a clone HackRF? I think they're all clones. I know that
Robert's-
the broken one is a clone for sure.
Is it a firmware issue on the questionable one?
So we did firmware updates in the last episode and got full updateification.
Updateification?
Yeah, you like that, don't you?
All right. No need to dance or swear. ATV, thank you. We don't dance anymore. We have quit dancing. Dancing has been deprecated. But now... Or did I double bounce it? Whatever.
You probably double bounced it.
Probably.
My hands were full, and I don't know where Randy is. Thank you very much, Ken. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Ken.
Check out Ken's channel, ATV and Ham. Ken rides ATVs all throughout Wisconsin and records the trails. That's pretty cool. This is a really weird design. Like, once you put the top layer on, you kind of can't take it back off again. And I need to get the 4 standoffs in there. I mean, I literally pried at it with a screwdriver to get it apart last time, and that's what I'm doing again.
Sideboom's asking, does the broken one work without the pack as a normal SDR? He couldn't remember.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, because we ran that little utility that does the sampling test. And
That's right.
It did the sampling test. Lost that button again. And another button. These little tiny gray buttons fall off very easily. One of them has now been committed to the RV for all posterity.
Yes, Tim, that's what happens. It just shuts itself off. And then a power cycle turns it back on. And not very long. Somewhere between 10 and 30 minutes.
That's your power supply?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a over voltage protection circuit that's kicking in, I bet. Which is why I was thinking it was the radio. That's the same thing that happened with Todd's amp. The IRF 530 blew up. The final transistor inside the amp blew up, and it blew up short circuit, not blew up open. And my power supply saved the day by going off.
Overvolting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this apparently works after a reset for some amount of time again, which is what's weird. I mean, I'm with you on what you're saying. It's just strange
Yeah.
that it...
Mine works after a reset until I introduce the thing that caused the overvoltage. Whatever that thing happened to have been.
Right.
And since you
Tim,
only
I don't-
added one new thing to the shack,
Yeah. Tim, I want to say very low voltage. I believe. I don't know that because it was hooked up to my flex, so I was kind of like, what? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So Don wants to know if we tested the old screen on the working HackRF.
we did. Both screens work.
Yeah, that's right.
This is impossible. This is a puzzle to put back together. How did they do that? So the problem that I'm having is that the case is diagonal on the sides. And when I put the bottom layer in, I can't get the standoff in there. And when I put the top layer in, I can't get the standoff in there.
So, I mean, call me crazy. I just wrap some gaffer tape around it and call it good.
Well, so what I'm doing is I'm putting it together in stages instead of, intelligently.
Right.
I don't know which one's more intelligent than the other, but here we are. We're on nuggets. we don't know any of that stuff.
Faking it until we make it.
Jody says I'm crazy. I hope you're talking to me, Jody.
Tim wants us to do a discussion of the OSI 7-layer model.
Take it away, Jim.
No, that'd put them all to sleep. But I'm not going to explain it because no one cares really. But my troubleshooting methodology is kind of the 7-layer model. Eliminate this piece, this system, and then go to the next system. And
get it down to basics. Yep.
Yep.
The OSI 7-layer model really just gives you an idea of who to first point the finger at.
Right.
And what you do is you start at the bottom pointing fingers and you work your way up until there's nobody left but you.
And it's precious when the IT department's saying, it's the firewall because this application doesn't work occasionally sometimes. No, pumpkin. That's a layer 5 problem. Go away.
If it was the firewall, it wouldn't work occasionally, sometimes all the time. That's
Right.
how firewalls work. They block things.
I love them.
Not some things.
It's so funny when they start talking network to me. It's like
They're so precious.
Go administer some Windows, pumpkin. Leave me alone. Send the grown-ups in here.
All right. 2 standoffs done. So do you have all 13 colonies yet? Who in the chat has all 13 colonies? Hey, Todd's here. Todd, that's your amp that we're talking about.
I got 1 colony. That was all I got. But
I got like 3 or 4 at a park on Saturday. At 10 watts. On a compromised antenna. On battery power.
Very good.
In a car I've never driven before.
N0 VFI, 2 things. He recommends clear shrink wrap instead of gaffer tape. Have you ever used that stuff? It sticks to everything except what you want it to stick to. Like, I hate using that. My wife, she's like a ninja. She whips that stuff off and the potato salad is sealed up, hermetically sealed. I try to put it on something and it just
it's all over your face.
Yeah, I know. Not.
Didn't they do that on Family Guy where Peter was trying to use cling wrap and just couldn't get it? And then, of course, Family Guy did it for like 15 minutes of the 20-minute episode.
I never watched Family Guy, so...
It was not an electric F-150, but I did see an electric F-150 yesterday with its lights left on, and I was like, oh, man, you're not going to be able to make it home. Poor you. I do not understand electric vehicles. Like, I comprehend that they move and they use power to do so, but there's just, like, no point.
Jody said reflow solder on that expansion on the expansion connector pins on Aiden's board.
That's a good idea.
If you had a way to do that.
I am not set up for that at all.
Right.
About 3 months ago, I could have done that.
Don, I have not checked the mailbox. So if I got a mystery package, it's a mystery to me. I will go check it after the show.
Is he asking you or is he asking me?
He said me.
Yeah.
Let me look.
Yeah, he's asking you.
Now the mailbox is still there, so whatever it was, the time delay hasn't gone off on it. That's a plus.
Explain that? Time delay, mailbox, what? Oh, the bomb.
Yeah.
What's I not supposed to say? TSA is not watching.
Well, the YouTube is always watching, man.
That's true. They don't like Morse code. We found that out. So now
That's
I need to get that
Todd.
port through there. I try my best not to argue with tech support people. They're just, working hard. Bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts, that's right.
Yep, sorry. My ISP told me you can only do 1 download at a time. That's not how TCP/IP works.
Right.
You know what? I bet I need to take these button caps off.
Izzo, right? I mean, half of my Pi cases are small cardboard boxes sealed with tape. And it's kind of like a fire alarm. If I smell cardboard smoke, then I know the Pi got too hot.
Well, that was easy. Jeez. You take the button covers off of the buttons.
And then it pops right loose.
And then it just pops right in there. Thanks, chat. It's a nice case when it's all built.
Pat is asking how much voltage does that screen supply to the board?
The battery pack.
Was that a 7.4 or something?
The battery pack is 3.7 volts, 4.44 watt hours.
Oh, it's even less. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tiny little thing.
Is that a LiPo?
Yeah, it's a lithium ion.
Okay.
Is it going to focus at all? Not that it matters.
It's kind of, but it's tiny.
Oh, I turned it on. You can take me off full screen.
You look so studious with your danger glasses
Well,
on.
Danger glasses, yeah. So you can't put the pack lid on without first lowering down the shield all the way, because it won't lower down all the way. Lesson learned.
That case seems overly complicated, don't you think?
Well, you should see the one that Aiden has. I'll show you that in a second. Because he's got the all-metal case, and that's where like 90% of the cost came in, was that steel case.
Yeah.
So this is the case that is just for the HackRF 1. And it is
More cowbell.
aluminum. Yeah. And it only holds the HackRF 1. Now, if you want to put the portapack on, he's got this steel case. Oh, thunder. And if you put it on right, it does this cool thing with the sides, where they puzzle piece together.
Yeah, flank.
And then there are these side rail pieces that go on the outside and ruin the whole aesthetic.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't like that. But, you know, who am I to talk about another man's toys?
So how's
now watch
the
me
new
get this
ride?
thing. Fantastic. I think it needs new shocks.
So you drove from where? Where did you pick that beast up at?
I picked it up at the airport. The dealership was kind enough to drive it out to the airport for me. I picked it up at the airport at Tucson, Arizona. I bought it sight unseen over the internet, flew to Arizona, picked it up at the airport, and then drove it 1,800 miles back to my house in Wisconsin.
That's epic. Did
was fun.
Did Mrs. Tio go with, or were you solo?
I was solo. She doesn't like flying, and it would have been really, really stupid to drive a car out and then drive 2 cars back.
Yeah. Oh, I assumed she would have flown. I didn't know she didn't like flying.
She doesn't like fly.
I don't like flying commercial, so I'm with you on that.
I don't have a problem with the airplane as much as I have with the airline. That's
right.
true.
That's exactly correct. Flying in an airplane doesn't bother me at all. It's the other cattle in the chute with me and the way that the airlines treat you.
One of the guys on the flight out was very scared. When the plane took off, he was white knuckle on the hands, doing breathing exercises. And I wanted to, like, you know, I felt bad for him, but at the same time, I knew that if I said anything, it would just make it worse.
Todd's said even if it didn't really need new shocks with the RV, it's going to need new shocks.
It's really bouncy, and I think it's the shock absorbers. And, you know, the truck's got 100,000 miles on it, so it's probably time.
You want to get some of them fancy air adjustable ones so you can adjust your ride for with and without the trailer. No?
No, because that's just one more thing to go wrong. And I've got some videos coming out this week on it. It's one of the things I talk about is there's too much technology in modern cars that's developed by people that have never driven a car before.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you run into a problem, and the problem that I run into, well, one I didn't talk about in the video, my Jeep has a 9-speed automatic transmission that thinks it's smarter than I am, and somehow it knows from a dead stop with 0 external camera sensors and 0 knowledge of what traffic is like, how I'm going to launch from the stop sign or the traffic light. It gets it wrong 100% of the time, but there's no way to turn it off. All right, so we are back in business with all the right parts attached, and it still works.
Sweet. Strength and honor.
Yes, exactly. So let me tighten down the SMA connectors, because now that we've gone in and gone out, we don't need to go back in again.
Do you have a torque wrench for the SMA connectors that measures in inch tickles or whatever that is?
Inch pounds. I do not have an SMA torque wrench. Although it might be interesting to get one just because they're such a pain in the butt to screw on.
Yeah.
And these are actually the nuts that hold the SMA connectors to the case. Not the SMA cable to the SMA connector.
Right. Ryan, exactly. I have calibrated fingers.
Well, I did that. I took apart a motorcycle and put it back together. And when I put it back together, I just did it all by hand. And then I went over and grabbed the torque wrench, and everything was torqued to spec. Not that I'm bragging. It's just not that. It's not that hard. It's important, but it's not hard.
Jeff is asking, what is the new TO Mobile?
I got an almost the TO Mobile. Yeah, the TO Towmobile.
The Towmobile.
I got an almost vintage. It's 1 year off being vintage, classic Ford Expedition, 1999. How old do you feel now?
99.
Knowing that, yeah, 99, because 25 years is the cutoff date.
Yeah, it didn't look that old.
No, it's in fantastic shape.
I thought it was like mid Audis or something, but I'm not a. I don't know.
Well, they didn't change the body style until 2007, I think.
Now that's not the super big daddy. That's the Excursion. You got an Expedition.
The Excursion is the super big one. Yeah, I got the Expedition.
Okay. That's what they use for chief trucks here in Montgomery. All the battalion chiefs have, district chiefs, whatever they are, have. They all drive around in Expeditions.
So the Excursion is like, you look in the rearview mirror and you get tunnel vision. That's how big it is.
Well, I mean, it's about the same size as a pickup truck, basically, except you're enclosed all the way, right?
It's not.
Is it on the F-150
the Expedition
chassis?
The Expedition's on the F-150 chassis. The Excursion is on the 350 chassis.
Okay.
Or at least the 250. Okay. So we have... Oh, I hear another part rolling around. Is that what I hear? No. I don't know what that was.
Side boom, is that Ham Force 1? You got an 7.3 Excursion? Ron says it's a F-250 with a permanent camper shell.
Yes. And the Expedition is huge inside. It's already, like, I could fit my Jeep inside of it. That's how big it is.
Now, you've had that Jeep for a while.
I got it beginning of last summer, so almost a year. And here's the funny thing. I got it as a tow behind. Well, no, I guess I took it to Huntsville.
Huntsville, yeah.
So that was August of last year.
Yeah.
And then I took it again down to Dayton. So that was May.
Down to Dayton. I almost corrected you. You mean up to date? No, wait, no. He's up in Canada. Down to Dayton.
Yeah, I'm up in Canada.
Right.
Okay, so what I need to do, Jim, talk with the chat. Keep them entertained. I need to grab an SMA adapter.
Okie doke. How about those Braves? The most winningest team in baseball. See? Dude, damn it, it's on that side. There it is. And they're whipping the crap out of Cleveland right now. I've had a Suburban. I had two Suburbans and an Escalade, and I liked all of them. They were all great cars. I went after my last Suburban. I went to pickup truck and moved to an F-150 crew cab. So, which is nice because if you have stuff, you just flip up the back seats, and then you have plenty of room for acquiring stuff. Ed Sweeney, I will forget that you said that. While okay, while I'm thinking about it, if you are a supporter of Temporarily Offline, KK6USY Ham Radio Adventures, the Chuck, TO, I said TO, the Smoking Ape, that's that other guy, I forget him, and then me, our supporters private call will be a week from Wednesday. Not this Wednesday the 5th, but Wednesday the 12th of July at 6 p.m. Look for a Zoom invite in the supporters Discord chat, and then we will all post that on our channels for supporters on each of the channels.
All right, I have all the adapters that I have. I still don't know if I can get there with this equipment.
And N0VFI said you could mount a 3-element beam on the roof. That's probably true.
On the roof of?
What was that guy driving? What was that guy driving at? Where did we see that? Was that you saw that? That was at Orlando. The guy with all the antennas on his car.
Yeah, that was at Orlando.
Yeah.
He had a little Volkswagen Golf with everything on it, with all the trimmings.
All the trimmings. Yeah, Side Boom. I get tired of wearing headphones because they make me have ear sweat, and ear sweat is unseemly in a man my age. And these are fine.
There was
These
nothing stealthy about that GTI, Ken. GTI with 1,000 antennas on it, not stealthy at all.
No, that guy said, "Please, 50, pull me over. Pull me over."
I had the right adapters with me all along.
Freddie Mac rolled up in the chat late.
Freddie Mac.
We
Well,
see-
he's retired now.
right. No clock. No hassles. No job. I'm jealous. I got about a year and a half. Depending on YouTube, it may be 5 years. I don't know.
Yeah, with YouTube kicking in and Jim making it big time and going viral, 1.5 years.
Yeah,
Without it, 5 years.
5 years.
All right, so I now have this thing plugged into an antenna. Let's hit receive. We can oh. Well, this is going to be a problem.
What
I'll do
happened?
TPMS. The antenna cable might not be long enough for me to display this on the screen. Yeah, the doublet weighs too much, and it pulls the antenna back out. So we're going to get real super janky with this. And we're going to do that. Where's that light?
Watch that camera
that
angle
light?
there, son.
I'm
This ain't your
working on it.
OnlyFans page.
I am aware. Okay, so let's do this view here. Yeah, hang on one second. Let's put this back up to there. And I'm going to move the antenna to the other side of the microphone boom.
Freddie Mac just became a member of your channel.
Oh! Thank you very much, Freddie Mac. Much appreciated.
Freddie,
I
that's
have a
awesome.
message I need to send to you anyway, so that's a good reminder. Okay. Now we have that at a slightly better viewing angle, and it's not like it, focuses or anything.
Scott, you're right.
Okay, well, we're going to go in blurry mode, so that's ADS-B. And this is a horizontally polarized antenna, and I think ADS-B is vertically polarized.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
And it is... How big is 100 meters compared to 1090 megahertz?
What is that, like the 15, 12 centimeters? I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I mean, 1.2, well, no, it's going to be somewhere around 30. 23 is 1.2 gigahertz, so 1090 is going to be a little longer than that.
I'm not going to get any boats around here, but it does AIS, boats,
Right?
AFSK. 467.225. That's interesting. It's doing some decoding.
I think AIS is more than boats too.
Let's go off frequency. What is it? Automated information system or something?
Yeah, and I want to say that that's also in some aircraft, I think.
That's ACARS.
No, I know ACARS. That's commercial. No, AIS is, I wouldn't swear to it anyway, but I think it's also in airplanes. Yeah, ACARS is Aircraft Communication and Reporting System or something like that. And that's a commercial thing for the man to keep a brother down while he's in his airplane.
Nice. So I can do a bunch of modem stuff, but it's hard to tune the VFO. It's not hard. It's just not as easy as it could be. It's at 467.2230, 219, 218, and I want to go all the way down to 433 megahertz to read my weather sensors. And that's going to take the whole rest of the show to get down there, unless somebody knows a faster way to get there. So we'll skip that. But it should be able to decode the... I'm looking at where the camera used to be. It should be able to decode the weather stations. Look at that. Fancy. It'll do BTLE, Bluetooth Low Energy.
Yeah.
Okay. It'll do MRF, or is that NERF? NRF? 2480. Yeah, I've never heard of this one either. But it's decoding what it appears to think is data. Modem setup.
ACARS is entertaining. So is pagers. Although not as entertaining as they used to be. ACARS is just interesting, but Jason
so
says
NRF,
click on the center frequency button and it'll give you a keypad on the touchscreen.
Oh, okay. So this NRF at 2480 is 2.4 gigahertz, which is Wi-Fi. So I guess I'm giving you my Wi-Fi keys or something. And the address was probably a MAC address.
That makes sense. Looks like a MAC address right there where it says address.
Yeah. Let's go up to AFSK, and he says hit the center of the VFO. What did Jason say about that?
Hit the center of, and it should give you a pad.
There it is.
That one.
4330. Woo. There's no. Yeah, there is. Dot. I don't know the exact frequency. Does it tell me? Wouldn't that be nice? 433.92. It tells me the frequency. Oh, look at that. Oh, that focuses. 433.92 megahertz. So, let's stick that back up. Let's drop that on the floor. No big deal. All right, we'll do that later. 433.92. And it's still just sending a ton of data out. See, to me, that means the squelch is up too much. That's not actual data. That's just what it thinks the data is.
Right.
Modem setup. Modem preset.
Boycomatic Gaming is asking for an entry-level radio.
Entry-level HF, entry-level technician class.
Good question. I would also opine that the G90 is a solid choice for around $400. But T.O. has a great point. Technician, or are you going to get your general, or do you have your general?
And then budget.
And what's your budget? And here's the point I would make to you before you jump on the G90 bandwagon. And I don't hate the G90. I don't have one. I don't hate it. It's a nice value. It's a good value. It's also not 100 watts. It is what, 20, Steve? Is that right?
G90 is 20 watts, yep.
Yeah. So keep in mind that 20 watts down a compromised antenna equals not 20 watts radiated. For a couple $100 more, you can get an ICOM 718, you can get a Yaesu FT891, both of which are 100-watt HF radios for a couple $100 more. In my opinion, buy once, cry once. Don't buy a 20-watt radio. Because the G90's been out for 5 or 6 years. I almost bought one. And then somebody on YouTube made this point, and it was a very good point. 20 watts is only 20 watts if you have a perfect antenna system, and I guarantee you don't have a perfect antenna system. That being said, your budget is your guide. If you can only afford 400-ish, get a G90. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a great radio. Has a built-in tuner. Has a nice little screen to see what the hell you're doing on it. There's a huge installed base of those things. I mean, Steve had one. Do you still have it? Smoking Ape's got one. Yeah. I mean, they're not terrible radios. They're just 20 watts. So.
And the good part about it is it has a built-in antenna tuner.
Yep.
And it has a waterfall display. And it's affordable. And you buy it and learn that you hate RF and don't ever want to do this again, and you're only out $400 and you sell it for $380 and get all your money back, or you love it and you double down to $800, $900, $1,500, and you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Audio RX with a waterfall, and you can tell by looking what I'm looking at. Straight vertical lines that pulse every 15 seconds. So this is the HackRF one showing me FT8 signals. And if I had a speaker plugged in, it would probably sound a lot like FT8 too. And it's trying to decode CTCSS tones, which is interesting. Analog TV.
I'm trying to keep up with the get out of town. Look at it. Is it trying to scan?
That's an audio waveform, but I need to know what's the frequency of channel 13 or something. It's in the 6 meter band. I know that.
Jason's saying you can also use the capture app on the main screen to do caps on devices that don't use rolling codes and replay them. Very cool.
So Jim, do me a favor real quick. Look up what TV channel 2 is or 13 is or something. What frequency? Because I'm looking like it's going to try and put a picture on there.
What channel do you want, son?
I don't know. Try 13. Jeff, it might be able to decode FT8. I haven't gotten that far yet. It listened and showed me FT8 waterfall.
Oh, okay, that's not what I want. That sucks.
Less than $2,000 is just about every radio, boink.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
So FTDX10 is a good suggestion.
Okay, here we go. Nope, that's not the United States. For crying out loud. We invented this. Why is ours not at the top? France, Italy, Eastern Europe, East Germany. Who cares?
What radio has basically TX and RX across all bands? That would be the Yaesu FT991A is going to be the newest radio that does that at 100 watts, but it's still 20 years old. The next one you'd get is the 705, which is a QRP radio, the ICOM IC705, which is going to be a struggle for a new ham.
215.
Or you can get a used IC7100, 215.70. IC7100 would be a good choice.
215.75 for analog audio, 211.25 for the video signal.
Okay, let's do 211.25.
And then after that, it jumps up into the 400 megahertz. High 400.
What was the second frequency? 211, and then what was the second one?
211.25 is the analog video. 215.75 is the audio.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything.
Well, you shouldn't be.
I shouldn't be getting anything what?
Any analog television at all, right?
Why not?
We don't have analog television anymore, son.
True. I guess I should still be seeing a signal, though, whether I can decode it as TV or not.
Yeah, maybe, but they repurposed that stuff. Yes, that might be true. You probably should maybe get a signal, but
Craig, be well. This is ERT-RX. I don't know what ERT-RX is. PuckSag, that's pagers.
yep.
900
Still very
megahertz
active.
range.
A lot of doctors on pagers still.
Blink, join. I know you're over in the Discord with us, so send a message over there, and we can give you some more information, and we can point you at some videos. There's a lot of radios out there, and try and have fun is where you really want to start. Don't get stressed out if you can't make a contact. It took me, I don't know, a couple of weeks to make my first contact on HF after getting my radio, because I had no clue what I was doing. So there's a learning curve, and then if you're doing QRP, you're adding a learning curve on top of a learning curve. So I'm not getting any POC-SAG. I've waited long enough. Uh-oh. Broke it. Look at that. It's got a guru meditation. It's a throwback to the Amiga. Let's hit reset.
With the chat is on fire, and y'all need to smack that. Y'all need to smack that like button. It owes you money.
Okay, I can't reset it with one hand. I don't know why the reset button's not working, but it's not working. Pull the plug. So it has radio sonde.
Well, up until they all got shot down.
Yeah, we're not going to have radio sonde here. Anyway, that's a European thing, I think, isn't it?
My understanding is it's those balloons. Those
Yeah, they're European weather balloons.
Okay, I thought
I
that's
didn't.
what they called those balloons.
So this is
don't know.
TPMS cars as opposed to TPMS airplanes. TPMS is your tire pressure monitoring system, and it'll tell you air pressure in your tires. And I wonder how those things get powered up. I guess they have batteries in them.
What, the TPMS?
Yeah.
I have no idea. That's an interesting.
Because there's a sensor in each of your tires.
Yep.
And sometimes it's in the valve stem. Sometimes it's a patch inside the tire, and they're expensive.
Is it something like a heat, like piezoelectric or whatever? Some kind of heat generator thing?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, Lee
What did I
said
get
the
into
radio
here?
sondes are in balloons. That's a thing. It's not just European.
This is called Recon. And this is dual sideband. I realize that this is blurry as all get out, but it's what I'm working with. Volume 33, amplification 0, 9K SQ minus 14, WL 1100, AM broadcast band.
So in answer to
RSSI,
your
relative
question,
signal
Tim is overlanding. Tim is saying there's a battery in the stem, and the centrifugal force of you rotating your wheels recharges the battery.
Nice.
Okay, I went a little more complicated with some kind of heat thing, but that'll work.
Level.
I'm going to send my power supply to Tim, I'm pretty sure.
So now we're listening to 1550 megahertz. If I had a speaker, this would be better. And then APRS. I don't know what I'm going to get on a horizontal antenna for APRS.
Key up. Well, you could key up one of your radios and see it decode.
Got to figure out where that is. Hang on. Hi, I'm going to go get a radio.
Okay. Yeah, so back to the radio question, Boink, while he's rooting through his stuff. There's nothing wrong with the G90. The G106 is out. It's about, what, $100 or so cheaper than the G90. There's the X6100. Frankly, if you're going to spend $300 or $400, I'd look at an X6100 because the screen on the X6100 is the schnizzle.
Yeah,
and if that's your budget, $400-ish dollars, seriously, I'd look at the X6100 and not the G90, in my opinion.
I think my radio is in the car.
Oh.
And it's not... I haven't used it long enough to know how to turn off GPS. So I don't need my GPS coordinates going out on a live stream tonight. Because I'm going to be here tomorrow still.
What are you at a busy street corner or something?
I'm in a top secret location.
You at the wrong corner in Baltimore? I mean,
I have been at the wrong corner in Baltimore more than once because there's, plenty of them.
Plenty of wrong corners in Baltimore?
Plenty of wrong corners in Baltimore. TO only has one radio that does APRS natively inbuilt. I have lots of radios that are all in boxes waiting to go in the back of the car to get on the road with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am not decoding any APRS messages, but it is late at night here. And I think we've gotten to the end of all the buttons I can push on this thing. But we did find out what the problem is with Aiden's HackRF1. It's his HackRF1.
Yeah. So we don't think we can get that firmware to reload or anything like that? Try and...
We did get the firmware to reload. William, welcome. We are playing around with hardware that we know nothing about. So that's why it sounds like we're rambling. But that's the point of the show. We're all rambling together and learning together.
That's right.
So I can play around off camera and re-moisten those solder joints.
Moisten. He said moisten.
Yes, I did. That VG4 worked great for the day that I set it up. It is down at the club, and we are working on getting a bucket truck to get it up on the tower. But it did fantastic. And then after I put it together, a couple people reached out to me and said it didn't tune up as well for me as it did for you. So I didn't do anything special. I just put it together, and it worked. I was actually rather surprised. Okay, I tried ADSB 1090.
Yeah, that was what I was going to drop up there. Did you try 978? The other comment that I was going to post was Don got a talk pod.
Don, I'm sorry. Have fun.
Bless your heart. Why?
He paid like 4 times as much for that compared to the Quanchang.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that's really left since the display works on... Both displays work on the good HackRF, and neither of them work on this. The only thing that it could be is those pin headers, or there's something wrong with the, the whole rest of the assembly. But it did work as a HackRF, and it did decode signal, so who knows. VG4 for the roof. So N0VFI radio misadventures. Think about how you're going to install that on the roof. It's a very, very, very tall antenna, which is great, but before you spend the money on it, and don't get me wrong, it works great, just have a plan for how you're going to get it installed. Otherwise, you got to put it on a tripod or mount it on the ground like I did in my video. And it doesn't have to be high off the ground. Higher is better, but it doesn't have to be high off the ground. One of the advantages is it doesn't have ground radials or tuned radials. So you don't have to worry about, 40 feet of wire going off in compass directions.
Ron Collins, ADSB works in the United States on 1090 or 978. It just depends on which kind of ADSB you're installing in the airplane. To my understanding, whether it's going to be in the stack or it's going to be an add-on afterwards. And 978 is limited, I think, to the United States only. Internationally, it's almost all 1090 as far as I know.
Yeah. If you've got a tripod on the roof already, then you are all set. No problem. And then as far as tuning it goes, you just have to lengthen or shorten the pole, just like you would any other antenna that you have to tune.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've reached the end of Nuggets for tonight. We troubleshooted. We figured out what the problem was. We didn't solve the problem because that's going to require equipment that I don't have right here. And I will try it off stream and see where we go. But I'm going to get these parts back to Aiden and to Jim, and we'll see where we go from there.
Well, we figured out.
This little
We figured out
HackRF
it
one
was a
looks pretty
hardware
interesting.
It was a hardware problem, though.
Yeah, and we figured out
Is
what
what
hardware
we're
it is.
pretty sure.
But there's a lot of little pieces on here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Man,
assuming that it's going to be something with those header connections.
I am so tempted. I want one of these to play with, and then I'm like, no, it's one more thing that's going to end up in a box.
That's what happens, unless I can find a purpose for it.
Right? I mean, if only we'd had that crap 20 years ago when I was doing pen testing and hacks are in everybody's wireless. Although 20 years ago, all they ever used was WEP, which was not hard anyway. It would be sweet.
It's a nice little display. It's got a decent interface to it. It'll do European, Australian,
Yerp.
New Zealand, but it doesn't have the frequency for the ISS. Which would
Marvin,
nice.
73, Scott, see you. Some of y'all punching out early. Ted.
Well, we're kind of done. We're just hanging out now.
And happy we don't give a crap about the King Day tomorrow. We don't. Or his kids. Or his baby mama or anything else.
Nice.
Oh, the smoking ape showed up.
So it's got this tool on it called Looking Glass.
Let me embiggen you, son.
Yeah,
On
it's too blown
on
up
your tater net.
from the light. Yeah. So anyway, that's what it says, and I can read to you some of what it says on the screen. Under Looking Glass, I can do Wi-Fi 5 gigahertz. I can do the MF band, which is like 2 megahertz, I think. Yeah. HF band starts at 16 megahertz. VHF band starts at 164 on this device. UHF band 1.6 gigahertz. SHF 5 gigahertz. And then full range. Then it goes down to USA pagers on 35 megahertz, USA pagers on 44 megahertz, 152 megahertz, 453 megahertz, 930 megahertz. It'll do key fobs.
Oh, snap. That'd be fun.
Radio sons, UHF mics, LoRa. So this is basically, I mean, it's a HackRF device, so it's going to let you snoop any frequency out there. Ham 10 meter, ham 6 meter, ham 2 meter, ham 1.5 meter, 1.25 meter. So that's the Looking Glass, which appears to be just a shortwave listening radio. It's got a signal generator built into it.
What's the range on the signal generator? Does it tell you?
So I have CW, just carrier, sine signal, triangle signal, saw up, saw down, square, noise, and then tone, modulation FM. So it doesn't tell me specifically what the range is. But at the bottom it says...
You have a tiny SA, don't you? So you could...
yeah.
You could put the antenna on the tiny SA and then fire that up.
I'd have to see what the... I'd have to get 2 antennas or just try it with the 40 dB attenuator, because I don't know what kind of power this puts out. I can't imagine it's much.
Well, I wouldn't even hook it directly. Yeah, if you're going to put it directly into it. But you could... you should be able to hook up an antenna, and if it's not awesomely powerful, you ought to be okay. I might math a little bit of that first, but...
There you go, scanner.
Sweet. That'll replace the 996P2. That'll replace
Right,
the SDS 100s.
Now I'm going to make a video on this and play with it some more. because there's no documentation. This is all you get. I'm sure there's something
Okay.
online, but there's like no off button either. And if I hit the reset button, it doesn't actually reset, it just locks it up. So anyway, stay tuned for a video on this on my channel coming out in the future, because I want to play some more with it. But I got to figure out what I can actually do with it.
So if you
But that's
look
what-
on... Go ahead.
That's what all the fun of radio is figuring out what to do with stuff.
Here is the... let me share this with the people. Share this with the people. This is the original. Here is from Great Scott Gadgets. And here are the authorized resellers for this thing. Spark Fun, Seed Studio, I know those, Pie Shop.
So Jim's telling you right now, Boink, this is the HackRF one with the portapack.
Adafruit. So there's a number, and I mean, I don't know any of these other ones, but there's a number of distributors, electronics that I've bought stuff from. So, and I'm sure it's on Amazon, but if you buy it off of Amazon, I would almost bet that you're going to have 25 fake Chinese. Holy mackerel!
Tree 54?
350.
Did Jim order
350.
one? Jim's shopping right now, Ape. He'll have one in about 5 minutes.
No, Jim is not shopping. I thought that thing was about 200. I ain't paying 400 for it. Son, I just had to buy a dang power supply yesterday that I didn't want to buy. This looks like the one you have here. Similar.
Yeah, it's not a clear case, though.
This one. The H2.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same device. It's just in a different case. It has a bunch of
Okay.
accessories.
I don't know. Cool gadget. But I would say it might be a solution for a problem I don't have particularly. Look at Ape in there. Ape is trying to enable me. You shut up. You're the reason I bought
Right.
that amp yesterday, or that power supply yesterday.
Yep. He's already spent his money for this week. We should have waited till next week, Ape.
Right.
Looks like a... Yes, Dave. It looks like something for a sub. Thank you, Joe Brett. We ready to hit the button, Jim?
Hit the button, Steve.
I'm hitting the button. Thank you, everybody. This has been fun. We've gotten to halfway down to the bottom of the problem, and I'll report back if resoldering the connectors works. I don't think it will, because those look pretty good anyway. So, Jim, thank you. Everybody in the chat, thank you for tagging along and playing around and learning a little bit of something about the HackRF 1 and the portapack. We'll see you.
Happy Independence Day, people.
We'll see you Thursday on Coffee and Ham Radios.